The deadbolt clicked from inside our apartment at 11:47 p.m., and I knew my life was about to implode. I'd been lying in bed, pretending to sleep, listening to Lena whisper with her best friend Monica in our kitchen for the past hour. Their voices had that conspiratorial edge that made my stomach clench. "You deserve a man who actually worships you, Lena. Troy treats you like a goddess. Nick's just... there." Monica's voice carried through the thin walls of our downtown apartment. I always knew the only thing Lena could commit to was cardio, but hearing it confirmed still felt like a punch to the gut. The bedroom door creaked open. Lena's silhouette appeared, backlit by the hallway light, with Monica's shorter frame hovering behind her like some twisted fairy godmother. "Nick, wake up. We need to talk." I sat up, rubbing my eyes dramatically. "What time is it?" "Time for you to grow up and face reality," Monica interjected before Lena could speak. She pushed past my wife and flicked on the overhead light. "Lena's been trying to find a nice way to tell you this for months." Lena smoothed her yoga pants and crossed her arms. Even at midnight, she looked like she'd just stepped out of her upscale gym. "I want you out in 48 hours. Troy's moving in. You're not on the lease anymore anyway. You can stay at your sister's." The casual cruelty of it hit me like ice water. 3 years of marriage, and she was discussing my eviction like a gym membership cancellation. "Should I pack Troy's protein powder or just leave it on the counter?" I asked, deadpan. Monica rolled her eyes. "Don't be dramatic, Nick. This is better for everyone." "Better?" I swung my legs out of bed, suddenly wide awake. "How exactly is this better for me?" Lena's jaw tightened. "Because you're holding me back. Troy's better in every way. He's got ambition, he takes care of his body, he actually makes me feel desired. When's the last time you even looked at me?" "I looked at you this morning when you asked me to transfer money for your personal training certification." "That's not what I mean, and you know it." She stepped closer, her voice dropping to that patronizing tone she used with difficult gym members. "In bed, Nick, Troy actually knows how to satisfy a woman. He's bigger, stronger, more passionate. You just lie there." Monica nodded sagely. "Lena deserves to feel like a woman, not a roommate." The humiliation burned through me, but I kept my voice level. "So you want me to pack up and leave the apartment I've been paying for so your boyfriend can move in rent-free?" "Our apartment," Lena corrected, "and Troy will contribute. He's got his training business and his social media following." I almost laughed. Troy's social media following consisted mainly of middle-aged women who liked his shirtless workout videos. His training business was 3 clients who paid him in cash under the table. "When do I get my stuff?" "You can take your computer and clothes. Everything else stays. The furniture, the TV, the kitchen stuff, that's ours." Monica pulled out her phone. "I'm documenting this conversation so there's no confusion later. Nick, you're agreeing to vacate the premises within 48 hours, correct?" Something cold settled in my chest. "Sure, Monica. Document away." After they left, I sat on the edge of the bed, listening to the quiet hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic. The apartment felt different already, like it was rejecting me. But here's the thing about being an IT specialist. You learn to think systematically. While Lena was busy planning her new life, I was already 3 steps ahead. I pulled out my phone and started photographing everything. Every room, every piece of furniture, every expensive item Lena considered ours. The leather couch I'd bought last Christmas, the 65-inch TV I'd saved for months to afford, the kitchen appliances I'd researched and purchased one by one. The slow squeak of my desk chair filled the silence as I opened my laptop and began documenting. Bank records, purchase receipts, utility bills, everything told a very different story than the one Lena was telling herself. Most importantly, I pulled out the manila folder from my desk drawer, the one containing the deed to our apartment. The deed with my name on it, just my name. Purchased 2 years ago with the inheritance from my grandfather, back when Lena and I were just dating and she was still pretending to be impressed by my financial responsibility. Lena had somehow convinced herself that our money meant she had equal claim to everything. She'd never contributed a dime to the down payment, never made a mortgage payment, never even paid a utility bill. But in her mind, living here for 18 months made her a co-owner. I spent the next hour checking our network logs. My IT background made it easy to track device connections to our Wi-Fi. Troy's phone had been connecting to our network for 4 months, always during the days when I was traveling for work, sometimes for 8 to 10 hours at a stretch. The pattern was clear. While I was in Chicago installing server systems or troubleshooting network issues in Milwaukee, Troy was making himself at home in my apartment, in my bed, with my wife. By 3 a.m., I had everything I needed. Photos, financial records, network logs, and most importantly, the property deed that would shatter Lena's fantasy about her legal rights. I packed methodically, taking only my personal belongings and leaving everything exactly as Lena expected. Let her think she'd won. Let her believe she'd outsmarted me. The moving dolly's rubber wheels rolled smoothly across the hardwood floor as I loaded my computer equipment. Each squeak and bump felt like a countdown timer. Tuesday morning arrived gray and drizzly. Troy showed up at 9 a.m. sharp with a U-Haul truck and two friends who looked like they moonlighted as bouncers. Lena was practically glowing, dressed in her best athleisure outfit like she was posing for Instagram. "This is so exciting," she gushed to Troy, who was surveying the apartment like he'd conquered new territory. "I can't wait to redecorate. Maybe we can get one of those home gym setups for the spare bedroom." Troy nodded, flexing unconsciously. "Yeah, babe. This place has good potential. Your girl said it was all set up lease-wise?" "Oh, yes," Lena beamed. "Nick was very reasonable about everything. Weren't you, Nick?" I looked up from taping my final box. "Absolutely. Very reasonable." One of Troy's friends, a thick-necked guy with tribal tattoos, started eyeing the leather couch. "This is nice, man. Real leather?" "Italian," I said helpfully. "Cost about $3,000. Troy whistled. "Sweet. That'll look great with my entertainment center." "You'll want to check the deed first, champ," I said casually, hefting my box. The room went quiet. Troy's brow furrowed. "Deed?" Lena's smile flickered. "What deed? This is a rental." "Actually, it's not." I pulled the certified envelope from my jacket pocket. "This is a copy of the property deed. You'll notice it lists me as the sole owner. Lena, you'll also want to look at this eviction notice. You've got 30 days to vacate, not 48 hours. The envelope cracked as Lena ripped it open, her face cycling through confusion, disbelief, and finally, pure panic. "This can't be right," she whispered, scanning the legal documents. "We bought this place together. I remember signing papers." "You signed a cohabitation agreement," I explained patiently. "Different thing entirely. You were never on the deed, never on the mortgage, never had any legal claim to the property." Troy stepped forward, his chest puffed out. "Hey man, that's not cool." Lena said a lot of things that weren't true, I interrupted. "Like telling you this was her place and that you could live here rent-free indefinitely. Did she mention the monthly mortgage payment, the property taxes, the HOA fees?" The color drained from Troy's face. His friends exchanged uncomfortable glances. "Lena." Troy turned to her, but she was staring at the eviction notice like it was written in a foreign language. "I don't understand," she mumbled. "This is our home. We live here. We've been living here." "You've been living in my home," I corrected. "As my guest. A guest who just asked me to leave so her boyfriend could move in. Funny how that works." The next few days were a masterclass in watching someone's world crumble in real time. Lena had immediately called her lawyer friend from the gym, who delivered the devastating news that yes, the eviction notice was completely legal, and no, living with someone for 18 months didn't grant you property rights. Meanwhile, Troy had vanished faster than a New Year's resolution. The moment he realized there was no free luxury apartment in his future, he blocked Lena's number and moved back in with his ex-girlfriend in the suburbs. His U-Haul truck sat in our parking lot for exactly 47 minutes before he drove it away, empty. I was staying at my sister Kat's place across town, a cramped two-bedroom that smelled like her cat's litter box and instant coffee. But it gave me the perfect vantage point to watch Lena's social media campaign unfold. She started with subtle posts about toxic relationships and emotional abuse. Photos of herself looking sad and contemplative, accompanied by quotes about strength and independence. Her gym friends rallied around her with heart emojis and supportive comments. Then Monica stepped in with her wellness influencer platform, crafting a narrative about Lena's escape from psychological manipulation. According to Monica's Instagram stories, I was a controlling monster who had isolated Lena from her friends and gaslit her into believing she had no rights. The irony was breathtaking. Lena was claiming I'd never touched her in months while simultaneously posting throwback photos from our vacation to Napa last month, a vacation I'd paid for entirely, including the couple's massage she'd insisted on. Her text messages to friends painted an even more creative picture. "He's a psycho," she wrote to her gym buddy Sarah. "Never showed me any affection, controlled all the money, made me feel worthless." But her Instagram feed told a different story. Designer handbags from our shopping trips, photos of the expensive dinners I'd taken her to, the new BMW I'd co-signed for just 6 months ago. Her entire lifestyle had been funded by the man she was now calling financially abusive. The contradiction would have been funny if it wasn't so infuriating. On Thursday, Lena filed a restraining order. She claimed I was harassing her with coercive legal documents and creating an atmosphere of fear and intimidation. The petition described me as an unstable individual who was using property ownership to psychologically torture her. Kat, who worked as a paralegal, helped me prepare for the hearing. "This is ridiculous," she said, reviewing Lena's filing. "She literally demanded that you leave your own apartment so her boyfriend could move in, and now she's claiming you're the one being coercive." The hearing lasted exactly 12 minutes. Judge Martinez read through the paperwork, looked at the property deed, and reviewed Lena's own written demand that I vacate within 48 hours. "Let me understand this correctly, Ms. Chen," the judge said, peering over her glasses. "You asked Mr. Peterson to leave his own property so your romantic partner could move in, and when he responded with a legal eviction notice, you filed for a restraining order?" Lena's lawyer shifted uncomfortably. "Your Honor, the emotional distress is self-inflicted," Judge Martinez interrupted. "This petition is dismissed. Ms. Chen, you have 26 days remaining on your eviction notice. I suggest you use them productively." Outside the courthouse, Lena finally broke down. The composed Gym Princess facade cracked, and she grabbed my arm as I walked toward my car. "Nick, please, we can work this out. I made a mistake with Troy. I was confused. I wasn't thinking clearly. Monica was pushing me to—" "Monica was pushing you?" I pulled my arm free. "Monica forced you to cheat on me for 4 months. Monica made you tell me your boyfriend was better than me in every way. I didn't mean those things. I was angry. I felt trapped. You felt trapped in a luxury apartment you didn't pay for, driving a car you didn't buy, living a lifestyle you didn't earn." Her mascara was running now, creating dark streaks down her cheeks. "I know how it looks, but I can explain everything. Troy manipulated me, too. He told me you didn't really love me, that you were just keeping me around for convenience. And you believed him because it was easier than admitting you wanted to trade up?" "No, I believed him because you never fought for me. When I said Troy was better, you just agreed. You didn't even try to win me back." I stared at her for a long moment. "Lena, you told me to pack my bags and get out of my own apartment so your boyfriend could move in. What exactly was I supposed to fight for?" She didn't have an answer for that. That evening, I made a decision that would change everything. I forwarded Lena's "better in every way" text messages to our mutual friends, the same people who had been liking her emotional abuse survivor posts all week. The group chat exploded. The chime of notifications filled Kat's apartment for the next hour as our friends processed the cognitive dissonance between Lena's public victim narrative and her private cruelty. "Holy shit, Nick," texted our friend Dave. "She actually wrote this stuff?" "Dude, I'm so sorry," came from Mike, who had been notably cold to me since Lena's social media campaign began. "I had no idea she was talking about you like this." But the most devastating response came from Lena's own sister. "Jesus Christ, Lena, what is wrong with you?" By Friday morning, the tide had completely turned. Lena's support network evaporated as people realized they'd been manipulated into taking sides based on fabricated stories. Her gym friends stopped responding to her messages. Monica, sensing the shift in public opinion, began distancing herself from the situation. And Troy? Troy posted a video on his Instagram story, working out at a different gym with his ex-girlfriend. The caption read, "Sometimes you dodge a bullet without even knowing it. Blessed Harax moving on no regrets." Lena called me 17 times that day. I answered the 18th call. "Nick, I'm begging you. I'll do anything. I'll go to counseling. I'll make this right. I can't find anywhere to live. I lost my job because of all this drama, and I don't have any money saved up. Please, just let me stay until I can figure something out." "You lost your job?" Monica's ex-boyfriend works in corporate for the gym chain. He told them about the restraining order and the social media stuff. They said it was creating a hostile work environment. The hollow clack of karma was almost audible. "What about Troy? Can't he help you out?" "Troy won't even answer my calls. He moved back in with Jessica and blocked me on everything. Nick, I have nowhere to go." "What about Monica? She was so supportive of your decision to leave me." Monica said she can't get involved anymore. She thinks I should have handled this differently." I let the silence stretch out, listening to Lena's quiet crying on the other end of the line. "Nick, are you there? I'm here. Will you help me? I know I don't deserve it, but I'm desperate. I can't go to my parents with this mess, and my sister isn't speaking to me right now." "You want me to co-sign a lease for you?" "Would you? God, Nick, I would be so grateful. I just need a chance to start over, and—" "I'll provide references," I said. Thank you so much. I knew you were a good person underneath all this anger. I'll send the reference letters to whatever landlords you're considering. You're amazing. I love you, Nick. I know I screwed up, but I love you." I hung up and immediately began drafting the most honest reference letters I'd ever written. The reference letters were works of art. completely factual, utterly damning, and legally bulletproof. To whom it may concern, I am writing to provide a rental reference for Lena Chen, who resided in my property from March 2022 to present. During this tenancy, Ms. Chen made no financial contributions to rent, utilities, or property maintenance. She was served with a legal eviction notice on date for demanding that I, the property owner, vacate so her romantic partner could assume residency. Ms. Chen has no established rental history, no current employment, and recently filed a fraudulent restraining order that was dismissed by the court. I cannot recommend her as a reliable tenant. I sent variations of this letter to every apartment complex and landlord Lena contacted. Within a week, she'd been rejected by 12 different places. Her desperation calls became daily occurrences. "Nick, what did you tell these people? Nobody will rent to me." I told them the truth. The truth? You made me sound like some kind of criminal. I made you sound like someone who tried to kick her landlord out of his own apartment, because that's exactly what you did. That's not fair. You're sabotaging me. I'm providing accurate references. Would you prefer I lie? The beautiful thing about revenge served cold is watching your target realize they're trapped in consequences of their own making. Every door that slammed in Lena's face was a direct result of her choices. I was just making sure the full story got told. Meanwhile, I was discovering just how deep the financial hole went. Credit card companies started calling my phone. Apparently, I was listed as a reference on several accounts Lena had opened. The spending spree told a clear story. Expensive dinners at restaurants I'd never been to, designer clothes from boutiques I'd never heard of, and a particularly interesting charge for a weekend getaway to a luxury resort. All during the time she was telling me she felt disconnected from our relationship and needed space to think. The total damage was $43,000 across 4 different cards, all in Lena's name, but all tied to income and references she'd fabricated using our shared address and my employment information. When the collection calls started, Lena's panic reached new heights. "Nick, you have to help me. They're saying I owe $43,000. That's impossible. I never spent that much money." "Really? Because I have the statements right here. Looks like you and Troy had quite a few romantic getaways. The Ritz-Carlton in Chicago? That's a nice touch. Was that the weekend you told me you were visiting your sick aunt?" The silence on the other end was deafening. "How did you get my credit card statements?" "They called me as a reference. Apparently you listed me as a co-applicant on 2 of the cards. Fraud, Lena. That's actual fraud." "I didn't mean to. I was just trying to. Troy said we needed to establish credit together and..." "Troy told you to commit credit card fraud using my information?" "It wasn't supposed to be fraud. He said once we were living together officially, we could transfer everything to joint accounts, and..." She stopped talking, realizing she'd just confessed to a premeditated financial crime. "Where is Troy now, Lena?" "I don't know. He won't talk to me. When the credit card bills started coming, he said it wasn't his problem and that I should have been more careful about the paperwork." Of course he did. Troy had gotten months of free luxury lifestyle funded by Lena's credit fraud, and when the bills came due, he vanished like morning mist. "So, let me understand this," I said, settling back in Kat's uncomfortable couch. "You committed credit card fraud to fund a lifestyle with a guy who dumped you the moment he realized he couldn't live in my apartment rent-free, and now you want me to help you clean up the mess. I know how it sounds. It sounds like you destroyed our marriage for a guy who was using you for money and housing. It sounds like you committed financial crimes to impress someone who didn't even stick around long enough to help you move out. It sounds like you threw away 3 years with someone who actually cared about you for a fantasy that lasted exactly 47 minutes. Nick, please. 47 minutes, Lena. That's how long Troy's moving truck sat in our parking lot before he realized there was no free apartment and bailed. Our entire marriage was worth less to you than 47 minutes of disappointment." I hung up and blocked her number, but Lena wasn't done yet. She started showing up at my workplace, my sister's apartment, even the gym where I'd been working out to clear my head. Each appearance was more desperate than the last. The final confrontation happened at Sam's boxing gym on a Tuesday evening. I was hitting the heavy bag, working through my frustration with methodical precision, when I noticed Troy in the mirror behind me. He was training a client on the other side of the gym, apparently having moved his business there after things went south with Lena. The irony was too perfect to ignore. I finished my set and walked over to the water fountain, deliberately positioning myself in Troy's line of sight. He noticed me immediately, his confident demeanor faltering. "Hey, Nick," he said carefully, pausing his client's workout. "Didn't know you trained here?" "Just started coming here. Great place. Very honest, straightforward people. No bullshit, you know?" His jaw tightened. "Look, man, about the whole situation with Lena." "What about it?" I want you to know I didn't know about the apartment thing. She told me it was her place, that you were just a roommate who was moving out anyway. And you believed her? She was very convincing. Said you two had been broken up for months, but were keeping it quiet until the lease situation got sorted out. I nodded thoughtfully. What about the credit cards? What credit cards? The $43,000 in credit card debt she racked up taking you on romantic getaways. You didn't know about that either? Troy's face went pale. 43,000? Dude, I had no idea she was spending that kind of money. She always said she had savings, that her family was well off. Her family owns a small restaurant in Chinatown. They're not well off. All that money she was spending on you, that was credit fraud using my information as reference. Holy shit. Troy sat down heavily on a nearby bench. No wonder she's been blowing up my phone. I thought she was just being clingy. She's facing financial ruin and potential criminal charges. The credit card companies are investigating fraud claims, and she can't find anywhere to live because I've been providing honest references to landlords. Troy stared at me for a long moment. You're destroying her. I'm not destroying anything. I'm just making sure people know the truth about who they're dealing with. That's cold, man. Whatever she did to you, she doesn't deserve to have her life ruined. I stepped closer, close enough that he had to look up at me. Troy, she told me you were better than me in every way. Better looking, better in bed, better at making her feel like a woman. She said I should pack my bags and get out of my own apartment so you could move in and live rent-free. She committed credit card fraud to fund your relationship and then tried to paint me as an abusive ex when her plan fell apart. Tell me exactly what part of that I should forgive and forget. Troy had no answer. Here's what's going to happen, I continued. You're going to stay away from Lena. You're not going to answer her calls or try to help her out of this mess. Because if you do, if you give her any hope that you might take her back or help her solve her problems, I'm going to make sure the credit card companies know exactly where to find you. $43,000 in fraudulent charges, Troy. How much of that do you think was spent directly on you? He stood up quickly. Are you threatening me? I'm explaining consequences. Lena made choices. You made choices. Now you both get to live with the results. I turned to walk away, then paused. Oh, and Troy, next time a woman tells you her boyfriend is worse than you in every way and offers you a free place to live, maybe ask to see the lease first. 3 weeks into Lena's eviction notice, she made one last desperate play. She showed up at Kat's apartment on a Sunday morning, looking like she hadn't slept in days. Her designer athleisure had been replaced with wrinkled clothes and unwashed hair. The transformation was startling. Nick, I need to talk to you, please. Kat started to close the door, but I waved her off. It's okay, let her in. Lena stumbled into the living room and collapsed onto the couch. I've been sleeping in my car for 3 days. The hotel kicked me out because my credit cards are maxed out. I have nowhere else to go. What about Monica? I thought she was your biggest supporter through all this. Monica, Lena's voice cracked. Monica said she can't be associated with me anymore. It's bad for her brand. Apparently having a friend who's facing credit fraud charges doesn't fit with her wellness influencer image. Shocking. A fake friend turned out to be fake. She wasn't fake, Lena snapped, then immediately softened. I mean, she was trying to help me. She thought you were holding me back, that I deserved better. Better like Troy? Troy was a mistake. A huge, stupid mistake. I see that now. I sat down across from her, studying her face. The confident, entitled woman who had demanded I leave my own apartment was gone, replaced by someone who looked genuinely broken. What do you want from me, Lena? I want to come home. I want to fix this. I know I screwed up, but we can work through it. We were good together before all this happened. Before you cheated on me for 4 months and tried to kick me out so your boyfriend could move in? Before Monica started filling my head with ideas about what I deserved and how I should be treated. Before Troy started telling me you didn't really love me, before I let other people convince me that what we had wasn't enough. It was a good speech. If I hadn't spent the last month watching her lie to friends, family, and legal officials, I might have even believed it. You're saying this is all Monica and Troy's fault? I'm saying they influenced me to make terrible decisions. But the decisions were mine. I own that. I'm asking for a chance to make it right. How? Let me move back in. I'll sleep in the spare room. I'll get a job, any job, and start paying you back for everything. I'll go to counseling. I'll do whatever it takes. What about the credit card debt? I'll figure it out. Maybe I can negotiate payment plans or $43,000, Lena. That's not going away with payment plans. Her composure finally cracked completely. She buried her face in her hands and sobbed, deep, ugly crying that shook her whole body. I know. I know I'm screwed. I know I ruined everything. But I can't fix it if I'm living in my car. I need somewhere stable to stay while I figure this out. I let her cry for a few minutes, then handed her a tissue box. There's something you need to understand, I said quietly. This isn't just about the cheating or the apartment or even the money. It's about who you really are when you think you have power over someone. She looked up at me, mascara streaking her cheeks. When you thought you could just kick me out and move Troy in, when you told me he was better than me in every way, when you tried to take everything I'd worked for and give it to someone else, that wasn't Monica's influence. That wasn't Troy manipulating you. That was you, showing me exactly how much respect you had for me and our relationship. I was angry. You were cruel. There's a difference. So that's it? You're just going to let me be homeless? You're not homeless because of me. You're homeless because you tried to make me homeless first. You're facing financial ruin because you committed fraud to impress a guy who didn't even care enough to stick around when things got complicated. I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the gray October sky. But here's what I'll do. I'll give you 1 week in the apartment, 1 week to get your affairs in order, find somewhere to go, and figure out your next move. After that, you're out permanently. She looked up hopefully. Really? 1 week. But there are conditions. Anything. You sign a formal agreement acknowledging that you have no claim to any property in the apartment. You publicly apologize on social media for the lies you told about me, and you provide a written confession about the credit card fraud to help clear my name from the investigation. Her hope dimmed. A confession? That could lead to criminal charges. Those charges are coming anyway. The credit card companies have forensic accountants tracing every transaction. At least this way, you might get points for cooperation. She was quiet for a long time, weighing her options. 1 week? 7 days. Then you're gone forever. And after that, will you help me at all? Maybe provide better references, or after that, you're on your own, completely. She nodded slowly. Okay, I'll take it. But as I watched her sign the agreement Kat had drafted, I realized this wasn't really about giving Lena a second chance. This was about giving myself a front row seat to watch her realize that some bridges, once burned, can never be rebuilt. The week that followed was a masterclass in awkward tension. Lena tried desperately to recreate the intimacy we'd once shared, cooking elaborate meals I didn't eat, suggesting movie nights I didn't attend, even attempting to seduce me on Thursday night in a pathetic display that left us both humiliated. She also discovered that Troy had moved in with his ex-girlfriend permanently and was posting happy couple photos on Instagram. Monica had blocked her on all social media platforms. Her former gym friends had moved on to new drama. The life she'd thrown away our marriage to pursue had never actually existed. On Sunday morning, exactly 1 week after our agreement, I found Lena sitting at the kitchen table with 2 suitcases beside her. I'm ready, she said quietly. Where will you go? My parents said I can stay in their spare room until I figure things out. I'll have to tell them everything, face the disappointment, deal with the shame. But it's better than living in my car. I nodded. Probably. She stood up and walked toward the door, then paused. Nick, do you think you'll ever be able to forgive me? I considered the question seriously. Maybe someday I'll stop being angry about it. But forgive you? No. Some things can't be forgiven, Lena. Some things just have to be lived with. She opened the door, then turned back one last time. I really did love you, you know. I wanted more. I thought I deserved more. You wanted different, I corrected, and you got it. After she left, I sat in the quiet apartment for a long time. It felt bigger somehow, like it was finally mine again. I should have felt victorious. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I just felt tired. But that feeling wouldn't last long. Because 3 days later, Monica called me with a proposition that would change everything. Nick, it's Monica. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I have information you need to know. About Lena, about what really happened. I'm listening. Can we meet? This isn't something I can explain over the phone. We met at a coffee shop downtown, and Monica looked as polished as ever in her wellness influencer uniform of designer yoga pants and motivational jewelry. I need to tell you the truth about everything, she began. About why I pushed Lena to leave you, about Troy, about all of it. I'm all ears. It wasn't about Lena deserving better. It was about me wanting revenge on you. I blinked. Revenge for what? 2 years ago, you cost me a job. Do you remember the corporate wellness contract I was going for? The one with that tech company downtown? I did remember. Monica had been pitching some kind of employee wellness program that involved crystals and energy healing. I'd been brought in as a technical consultant and had pointed out that her credentials were fabricated and her methods had no scientific basis. "You told them I was a fraud," she continued. "You showed them that my certifications were fake, that my testimonials were written by bots, that my whole program was pseudoscience bullshit." Because it was. It cost me $50,000 and destroyed my reputation in the corporate wellness space. I've been rebuilding ever since. I stared at her. "So you decided to destroy my marriage?" "I decided to give you a taste of what it felt like to lose something important. I spent months working on Lena, convincing her she was settling, that she deserved someone more exciting. I introduced her to Troy specifically because I knew he was a user who would take advantage of her and then bail." The pieces clicked into place. "You orchestrated the whole thing." "Every bit of it. The affair, the ultimatum, even the credit card fraud. I told her that was a normal thing couples did when they were planning to live together. I knew it would blow up in her face eventually." "Why are you telling me this now?" Monica smiled, but it wasn't a pleasant expression. "Because I won. I destroyed your marriage, cost Lena everything, and got my revenge on you for ruining my business deal. I wanted you to know that you didn't outsmart anyone. You were just collateral damage in a larger plan." I sat back in my chair, processing this revelation. "You destroyed an innocent person to get back at me." "Lena wasn't innocent. She made every choice along the way. I just provided encouragement. And now she's living with her parents, facing financial ruin and potential criminal charges. And you're alone in your apartment, having learned that the person you trusted most in the world was willing to throw you away for someone better. We both got what we deserved." Monica stood up, gathering her designer purse and car keys. "Enjoy your victory, Nick. Just remember that it was never really yours." She walked away, leaving me sitting alone with the devastating realization that my entire revenge had been part of someone else's larger scheme. But Monica had made one crucial mistake in her moment of triumph. She'd assumed that learning the truth would break me, would make me feel hollow and defeated. Instead, it just made me angry. Really, truly angry for the first time since this whole mess began. And anger, I was about to discover, was a much more useful emotion than hurt. Monica's confession changed everything. For weeks, I'd been focused on Lena, her betrayal, her lies, her consequences. But Lena had been a puppet. Monica was the puppet master, and she'd just made the fatal mistake of gloating about it. I spent the next 3 days planning something Monica's wellness influencer brain couldn't have anticipated: total social and professional destruction, executed with the precision of a military operation. First, I reached out to the corporate wellness company Monica had tried to scam 2 years ago. They were very interested to learn that she was still operating under fraudulent credentials and had recently admitted to orchestrating a revenge scheme that involved encouraging credit card fraud. Then I contacted the Better Business Bureau, the Federal Trade Commission, and the State Licensing Board for Health and Wellness Practitioners. Monica's business was built on fake certifications, manufactured testimonials, and medical claims she wasn't qualified to make. It was a house of cards waiting for someone to blow on it. But the real masterstroke was social media. Monica lived and died by her online presence. Her income depended on maintaining the image of a successful, enlightened wellness guru who helped people transform their lives. I created a detailed timeline of Monica's scheme, complete with screenshots of her own social media posts encouraging Lena to follow her heart and choose the partner who truly values her. I cross-referenced these with the dates of Lena's credit card fraud and Troy's apartment visits. The story I crafted was devastating. Local wellness influencer orchestrates marriage destruction for personal revenge. I sent this package to every local news outlet, every blogger who covered influencer culture, and every person in Monica's professional network I could identify. But I saved the best for last. Monica was scheduled to speak at a Wellness and Empowerment conference the following Saturday at the Downtown Convention Center. 200 women had paid $150 each to hear her talk about living your truth and embracing your power. I bought a ticket. Saturday morning arrived crisp and clear. The convention center was buzzing with women in yoga pants and inspirational t-shirts, all eager to be empowered by Monica's wisdom. I sat in the back row, wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses, watching Monica take the stage in a flowing white dress that probably cost more than most people's rent. "Good morning, beautiful souls," she began, her voice carrying that practiced wellness guru cadence. "Today we're going to talk about the power of authentic living and how to remove toxic influences from your life." The audience ate it up, nodding and taking notes as Monica launched into her prepared speech about self-worth and healthy relationships. 20 minutes in, during the Q&A portion, I stood up. "I have a question about authentic living," I said loudly enough for everyone to hear. Monica's smile flickered when she recognized my voice, but she maintained her composure. Of course. Please share your question. How do you reconcile teaching people about removing toxic influences when you spent 2 years systematically destroying an innocent woman's life as revenge against her husband? The room went silent. Monica's face went pale. I'm sorry, I don't understand the question, she stammered. Let me clarify, I said, pulling out my phone. 3 days ago, you confessed to orchestrating my wife's affair, encouraging her to commit credit card fraud, and manipulating her into destroying our marriage because you wanted revenge on me for exposing your fake credentials to a corporate client. I started walking toward the stage, and the audience turned to follow my movement like spectators at a tennis match. You told her she deserved better, introduced her to a man you knew would use and abandon her, and coached her through financial fraud that has left her facing potential criminal charges, all because I cost you a business deal 2 years ago. Monica tried to regain control. Sir, I think you're confused. I have recordings, I announced, holding up my phone. Our entire coffee shop conversation where you confessed to everything. Would you like me to play it for these beautiful souls who paid $150 to learn about authentic living from you? The room erupted. Women started shouting questions at Monica, demanding explanations. Someone yelled, "Play the recording." Others were already pulling out their phones to film the confrontation. Monica tried to leave the stage, but I was ready for that too. Ladies, before Monica leaves, you should know that she's been operating under fake wellness certifications for 3 years. The state licensing board is investigating her business practices as we speak. The Better Business Bureau has received detailed complaints about her fraudulent credentials. And the Federal Trade Commission is looking into her medical claims. Security guards were moving toward me now, but the damage was done. The audience was in chaos, demanding refunds and answers. Monica had fled through a side door, leaving behind a room full of angry women who'd paid good money to be lied to by a fraud. But I wasn't finished. Outside the convention center, a local news crew was waiting. I tipped them off about the confrontation, and they were eager to interview the man who just exposed a popular wellness influencer as a revenge-seeking manipulator. This isn't just about fake credentials or business fraud, I told the reporter. This is about a woman who deliberately destroyed an innocent person's life for petty revenge, then built a business teaching other women about empowerment and authentic living. The hypocrisy is staggering. The story went viral by Sunday evening. Monica's social media accounts were flooded with angry comments from former clients who'd realized they'd been scammed. Her business partners started distancing themselves. Corporate sponsors pulled their support. By Monday, she'd lost 3 major endorsement deals and her upcoming book contract. By Wednesday, the state had suspended her business license pending investigation. But the real justice came from an unexpected source. Lena called me Thursday evening. Nick, I saw the news about Monica. Is it true? Did she really orchestrate everything? Every bit of it. She used you to get revenge on me, and she didn't care what it cost you. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. I'm such an idiot, Lena whispered. I threw away everything for someone who was just using me as a weapon against you. Yes, you did. Is there any way, can we ever... No, Lena, we can't. What Monica did doesn't change what you chose to do. She didn't force you to cheat, didn't force you to be cruel, didn't force you to try to steal my apartment. She just gave you permission to do things you wanted to do anyway. But if I hadn't listened to her, you would have found another reason eventually. Monica didn't create your capacity for betrayal. She just activated it. Another long silence. I'm going to testify against her, Lena said finally. The prosecutor handling the fraud case wants to know about her role in encouraging the credit card applications. I'm going to tell them everything. Good. It won't fix what I did to you, but maybe it will help make sure she can't do this to anyone else. Maybe. After I hung up, I sat in my apartment, and realized something had shifted. The anger was gone. The hurt was fading. What remained was something cleaner. Clarity. Monica had thought she was orchestrating my destruction, but she'd actually given me a gift. She'd shown me exactly who Lena really was underneath the surface, saved me from wasting more years on someone who could be manipulated into betraying me, and handed me the tools to expose a fraud who was hurting innocent people. 3 months later, Monica was sentenced to 18 months in federal prison for wire fraud and conspiracy. Her wellness empire was completely destroyed. Lena was given probation and community service in exchange for her testimony, and she moved back to her hometown to start over. Troy? Troy married his ex-girlfriend and moved to Arizona, where he presumably found new ways to disappoint people. As for me, I kept the apartment, got a promotion at work, and started dating a forensic accountant named Sarah, who appreciates both honesty and proper financial documentation. Sometimes people ask if I regret how everything played out, if I wish I'd handled things differently. I tell them the truth, Monica called me the villain in her story, and she was right, but she forgot that sometimes the villain wins because the villain is the only one telling the truth. And sometimes being the villain is exactly what the situation requires.